In 2008, the Planning Director Environmental Assessment Requirements, which is what Svea mentioned before, the Director General Requirements, said if your proposal includes any actions that could have a significant impact on matters of national environmental significance, it will require an additional approval under the Commonwealth EVBC Act. The developers, Clarence Property, have failed to accurately self-assess the impacts of matters of national environmental significance, and they have failed to self-refer, even though the Federal Environmental Minister has strongly encouraged them to do so. At every opportunity, this development has failed the environment. This ecologist also goes on to state we have so few koalas left and it takes so long to re-establish their habitat and costs so much money, so much more than to actually retain habitat compared to replacing habitat. It makes no sense that there should be any further clearing of threatened species habitat at all. It should never actually be approved. There should never be any allowances at all at this level. Even it is recorded that even half a hectare of koala habitat can have a significant impact as outlined in the koala referral guidelines. The fact that 3 hectares of koala habitat is proposed to be cleared for this development makes no logical sense to allow this to happen.
And has now been reduced to 0.25 in the latest reports.
We have a responsibility to future generations to do all we can to avoid any further degradation of remaining coastal habitat. These areas are mapped as koala habitat by the New South Wales Government and the Byron Shire. These trees, which many are identified as old growth, now are marked for removal in the most recently approved plans, and they have high ecological value. The coastal koala population is highly fragmented, and it's a genetically distinct population because it is fenced in by Simpsons Creek, by the ocean to the east, by the river to the north, by the M1 highway to the west, and then by the recently burnt forest in the south at the Tioga Nature Reserve. So the Wallum habitat of the 30 hectares is actually critical habitat that needs protection.
Absolutely, and the issue of the koalas is one that has come up again and cannot possibly have been adequately assessed in the Certificate 34 because its status changed last year. So at both the federal and state level, its threatened species status was altered, and that population that Luciana is talking about is genetically unique and has actually been listed under the federal legislation as a population that's threatened on its own, in addition to the status of the koala as a species facing extinction. So that in itself is an argument that we believe should hold up to stop this development, although we would like to definitely bring attention to all of the other species on the site. But it is koala habitat, and the developers are denying that at the moment. In the latest reports, as I said before, in council on, I think it was the 10th of October, the 12th of October this year, the ecologist from AWC was on a Zoom call and said there was no koala records on the site, and that the koalas stopped at the northern boundary where there's no fence and they never crossed onto the site. I laughed out loud. I actually laughed in the meeting, and we will find that it's just blatant lies, and I don't know.